Call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you and welcome to the January 19th, 2016 Post Falls City Council meeting. We had a workshop prior to this meeting and discussed some building code items. Clerk will note that all council members are present, and we do have one announcement tonight. The Post Falls Chamber of Commerce Community Recognition Banquet is Thursday, January 28th at Red Lion Templins. Tickets are available at the Chamber office. I'm actually going to read a couple letters we'd received as well. Mayor Jacobson, I wanted to take a minute to share some positive feedback about one of your city employees. I wanted you to hear about the outstanding customer service Tavis Schmidt is providing. I had a question this morning about signage and was directed to Tavis. He listened to my question, and when he wasn't able to answer the question immediately, he promised to do the research and call me back, and he did. I truly appreciate Tavis's professional manner and kind nature. He is representing the city of Post Falls very well and is providing the type of service that I wish all cities would. Thank you, and it's from Marshawn Kemp from Mountain Dog Sign Company. So thank you to Tavis. Please pass that on. To the city of Post Falls, I would like to thank you for your October donation of $377.02 to the Post Falls Food Bank. Throughout the year, the food bank serves over 2,000 families living in poverty in our community. Over half of those we serve are seniors on a fixed income or the disabled. It is through your support that the Post Falls Food Bank is able to supply all of our families with a regular basket of nutritious food. Thank you again for your commitment to our community. Sincerely, Leslie Orth, Director, Post Falls Food Bank. So thank you all who have donated, and please continue to do so. Very worthwhile cause. Are there any, excuse me, excuse me, frog, any amendments to the agenda?
We have none tonight, sir.
Any declarations of conflict?
I have a question for legal staff. On the new business, North Place Preliminary Planned Unit Development and Subdivision Proposal, Gary Schneidmiller signed that application. He's the owner of that property. I work at Coldwell Banker. Gary owns that company. I don't do new construction. I do resale real estate, but I just want to put it out there and see if you believe I have a conflict in this meeting.
So do you have an ownership stake in the firm?
No.
Do you stand to make any money off of the approval of the project?
No.
You don't have a legal conflict at that point, so you're free to participate or not at your pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you, Warren. Any others? See none. Shelley, would you please present the consent calendar?
Item A is minutes from the January 5th, 2016 City Council meeting. Item B is payables, January 29th, 2015 through January 11th, 2016. Item C is agreements to provide emergency communication services for the city of Rathdrum. Item D is Spokane River Stewardship Partners Memorandum of Agreement Amendment. Item E is contract with NextGen Communications to accept text messages in our 911 Communications Center. And item F is a contract agreement with Architects West Incorporated for architectural services for the construction of a storage facility at the Post Falls Police Department.
Any questions of Shelley?
Nope. I have a couple questions. Did you say you had some?
Yep.
Oh. Under item C, agreement for the with the city of Rathdrum, I see that it's only a 1% increase each year. Seems rather small. Is there a reason for that?
Do you have?
I don't have an answer for that.
Pat, would you step up the mic for me, please?
Yeah, I don't. I didn't have an answer for that. I did not. That's not something I looked into tonight before the meeting. But
I know typically they have a spreadsheet where they cost out what it costs for us to provide services to them, and they estimate that we've been providing services for about 15 years, and so they look at that increase, and that's what they use in the contracts going forward. I didn't receive a copy of that spreadsheet, but I can get with Chief Hogan and get back to you.
Okay, it's not that big a deal. I just thought that, you know, the kind of the standard cost of living, I mean, staff increases are more than that, so if our cost is going to go up 3%, and we only increase their cost 1%, I know we can get in and out of the deal anytime, but just thought that there might be more to it than that. Also, I have a question on item D. I was hoping somebody could explain to me what Spokane River Stewardship Partners is and why we are part of that.
I'm going to let Russ tackle that one. I believe I know what they are, but
Mayor Jacobson, members of the council, the Stewardship Partners is a conglomeration of groups that are acting in the best interest, looking out for the best interests of the jurisdictions that are involved in regards to the Spokane River and in relation to our wastewater treatment facilities, reducing contamination, and working in the best interest of the jurisdictions as a group. And that's something that we've historically participated in the past. And in fact, this item was previously approved, I believe, back in December. There was an amendment by one of the partners, a very minor amendment that just specifically stated that the costs wouldn't, that none of the partners would be obligated for additional costs over this year period. Typically, this is something that's done every year. And so we decided to bring that back since it was an amendment. It was our understanding and our interpretation of the existing agreement that there would be no additional costs, but it is to help fund this partnership and fund these efforts to promote activities and efforts that relate to protecting water quality and minimizing our costs in regards to improvements to our water reclamation facility and our stormwater permits.
I was just, maybe, I don't know if you can add to that. In the example, it talked about one of the principals, I don't know who she is, but she makes $135 an hour. And the example they used is if they broke out $150,000 cost, that ours was a certain percentage of that. I guess I'm a little reluctant to agree to something when I don't really understand what it is that this organization does.
I'd be happy to do more research and come back to you with more detail if you would like.
I'd appreciate
Would you
that.
like to table it at this point?
Yeah, if we could, I would appreciate that, yes.
Sure, yeah, we'd be happy to bring back more detail at the next meeting.
Linda?
I just have one question, Russ. Isn't this the same group of people where Post Falls used to not have a voting member and now John Beecham moved some sort of language forward and now we have a voting member? Is that correct?
That is the Spokane River Toxics Task Force.
Oh, so that is not this?
That is not this, but it's very, very related, and the two groups
Yeah, okay.
work together
Yeah, that's what I thought.
for the
Okay.
same.
It seemed to me like there's like three or four different groups that we're part of that all have to do with the river. Just personally, I'd like to get a little clarity around
Sure, yeah.
what all that is.
Why don't we come back next meeting and provide some additional information, provide some clarification for you.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
Well, I think it's interesting, but if in the discharge of flows that's listed in that, I think that was one of the issues that we had, took exception with when we were talking about the permitting for discharge. Because again, if you look what the flows are and what they were trying to limit us to. So I know it's been around for a while, but Mr. Wilson, we can make a motion to approve tabling that item.
So you would remove this item from the consent calendar
Okay.
and then direct staff to return it to you at the next meeting.
Okay.
So moved.
Gonna make a motion?
He moved, you second?
Second?
Motion second. Did you get the motion, Shannon?
Yes.
Further discussion?
I still have another question on the consent calendar.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to rush you. Okay, so we've got that one, but go
Is it
ahead.
on the same item or?
No, it's on the last one.
So I think the motion is just to pull that one item off.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
cool.
So
we're
the
gonna vote on
vote,
it?
the vote would be to
Vote on it.
finalize that, and then you can probably move on to the next question.
Please take the roll.
Wilhelm?
Aye.
Borders?
Aye.
Henderson? Aye. Malloy?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
Thorson?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Wolf.
Still have a question. Item F, architectural service for construction of a storage facility at Post Falls Police. Captain tonight, looks like he knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, real quick on that agenda item. Been in the facility now almost 12 and a half years, and one of the things we're looking at is a lot of our specialized groups and some of our equipment we continue to store in other locations, either out back in a parking lot in the weather. We are looking at it now because currently we're housing things up in our shop, and our shop's quickly filling up with other things other than what it's utilized for. Our mechanics running out of space, some vehicles, some maintenance equipment, motorcycles, bicycles, all that type of thing. What we're looking at doing is the city owns 80 feet on the other side of the east side of the fence line, in between pole line and Mullen. We're looking at expanding that out a little bit and putting a shop in there that will utilize many different things for folks from washing vehicles, placing some of our stuff out of the weather, getting things into that shop and that kind of a facility. So we're looking at other items we can do inside of there as well, making it some training areas and things like that. So right now is just the beginning stages, getting an architect on board and start drafting those plans.
Okay.
Now, did you say Pole Line and Mullen, isn't it Polson?
Polston, sorry, yep, Polston and, between Polston and Mullen. Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Further questions? Entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
We need to say, since we've already moved it, are we okay, or should we say as amended?
We understand it, we got it.
Okay. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Wolf.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next item up is public hearings, and tonight we have none. Unfinished business, we have none. Citizen issues. This section of the agenda is reserved for citizens wishing to address the council regarding a city-related issue that is not on the agenda. If anyone wishes to speak, come forward, please, and give your name. Seeing none. New business, North Place, preliminary planned unit development and subdivision proposal. Mr. Manley.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. John Manley, Associate Planner here with the City of Post Falls, introducing the North Place preliminary PUD and subdivision, case file P-15-03 for the PUD and S-15-02 for the subdivision. The property owner is Schneider Miller Brothers, Inc., and the applicant is Greenstone Kootenai 2. The requested action is for preliminary and PUD subdivision approval for a 167-lot residential development on approximately 39.51 acres. Some of you might have noticed in your staff report, there was mention in the motion options that there was a reduction in lot size that was for some reason carried over. That's not correct. The 167 lot is exactly what was presented before P&Z and is before you this evening. And on that December 8th, 2015 public hearing, P&Z, and after receiving testimony and hearing the staff report, the Planning and Zoning Commission did move to recommend approval of this preliminary PUD and subdivision. The project location is, as you see here, highlighted in blue with the hatched line. Just west of Idaho Street, south of Prairie, and north of Pole Line. It's the Prairie Falls Golf Course, kind of surrounds it on the west side of it. The comprehensive plan designation is residential. The current zoning is R1, single-family residential. Surrounding land uses are a mix of single-family residential and the golf course. And the proposed land use would be for more single-family homes. Proposed density is 4.23 units per acre. That's less than the maximum allowed for that zoning district at 5 dwelling units an acre. The water provider would be the City of Post Falls, and sewer being provided by the City of Post Falls as well. Here's the picture of the surrounding zoning. As you see here, the yellow, that's the single-family residential zoning. So you can see that for quite extensively, it's surrounded by that R1 zoning district. In review of PUDs, there's some criteria for approval in PUDs. And that's spelled out in Post Falls Municipal Code 18-20.080. And that PUD approval would be based on the findings of the proposal that they provide benefits that aren't achievable as normally required within the zoning code. In Title 17, subdivision regulations, there's no requirement for open space and parks. So with the PUD, oftentimes what they do provide is increase in open space or that asset being brought into that subdivision. So that would be how, in this particular instance, that would be the instance that would not be achieved normally. The second is be compatible with surrounding land uses, both existing and future. Staff reviewed the proposed subdivision as being compatible with the surrounding single-family homes as well as the golf course. Also be in conformance with the goals and policies in the comprehensive plan, of which this proposal is in conformance. Those are spelled out within the staff report. Also provide open space as stated. PUDs require a minimum of 10%, and that's how they came up with the 4 acres. That would be maintained by a private HOA, homeowners association. One of the clarifications and one of the conditions that were brought forward is that they would get the final details of that park at the time of final PUD approval. So before subdivisions can continue and plat, they need to come forward with final PUD. It's how currently our PUD process is. Also, that processing of a PUD includes a subdivision shall be considered concurrently. So this project, both are being applied for, both the PUD and the subdivision. So this meets the code sections as well. There were exceptions that were sought. Oftentimes with PUDs, there's certain design things that a developer would ask for compensation for providing that open space. This particular one is that the minimum lot area of 5,000 square feet be proposed for the single-family homes. Now, when you look at their proposed average density, their average lot is 0.14 acres. So that comes up with about 6,000 square feet. And I actually didn't review, in my review, couldn't find any lots that were really under the 6,000. But they're still requesting the 5,000, so with approval, they would have that. Lot frontage, a minimum of 50 feet is being proposed. This particular developer has developed homes with 50 feet width lots. Over at Montrose, if you go over on Chehalis, a lot of those homes have 50 feet. It's not an unusual lotting width, especially in the older parts of town. There's a lot of 50-foot wide lots as well. The setbacks that they were looking for, I apologize for the smaller print, but it was the way to copy and paste it from their application into the PowerPoint. But if you look at the front yard, 12 feet from the back of sidewalk to the face of the front porch, that's actually a little bit larger of a setback than our code currently has. 15 feet from the back of sidewalk to the face of the house, that's typical, that's what we currently have. Same with the 20-foot setback to the garage. One thing that's an exception is the side yard. They are requesting a 0 setback. So what that would allow is speculating that they could do a side yard type product where their house is on a lot, the lot line. That being said, though, they would then have to meet the building code requirements for that type of built environment. And there's, I believe, some spacing standards between houses too for adjoining lots per the building code. Flanking streets, 15 feet from the back of sidewalk or curb. This is within our current code. As a clarification, they still, though, if a garage was maybe side loaded, they still would have to meet that 20-foot setback. The rear yard setback, 15 feet from your property line. Our code actually has 10 feet, so there's a little bit of difference there. So their requirement's going to be a little bit more stringent. But if they did say, though, if it backs up to some common areas provided by the North Place PUD, so where they have their park, those lots, potentially if they backed up to that, wouldn't have that 15-foot setback. Sidewalks, also they want to be able to, on the interior, place a minimum of 5 feet from the back of curb to provide for a planting strip. And curbs, they want to use the type R rolled curb for local residential streets, of which our code allows, so that's really not really an exception. Curb radii, a radii of 30 feet is proposed for the North Place Avenue and Shelburne Avenue at Idaho Street. All others shall be 20 feet. I'll see if I can go forward to a map. So as they come in off Idaho Street, that's the 30 feet they're requesting. Typically, it's 35. In conversations with engineering, they don't have issues with that exception they're looking for. The 20 feet interior, that's typical, so that part's really not an exception. One of the, and there's reference to in the staff report that there was an added conditions that were brought forward than what was initially set within the public hearing for the Planning and Zoning Commission. And the applicant was okay with this additional condition, this is lots 25 and 26. And the subdivision to the north, which you see here, the north, west, and west, there's already an access easement right at this location. So they would provide the easement and improve that and establish that connection through there. That way, the people residing in this subdivision can then have access to that golf course. So we're just carrying forward a pre-existing element and connecting that easement. One of the things that the applicant, though, did want was for staff to work with the neighboring properties to kind of get, there's currently a fence that's blocking that, kind of do some of the legwork to get that access and get that open for that connection. The engineering division has reviewed this. They don't have issues with the requested exceptions with this PUD request and subdivision. And the planter strip, though, that's along Idaho Street, that would have to remain 6 feet. That's what our code requires, is 6 feet. So they can have that internally, but just not along Idaho Street. In regards to water, the city has the capacity to provide service, and that holds true with the water reclamation. Post Falls Police Department commented they have no issues with the proposed project. We didn't receive comments from any other agencies. And at this point, I'd stand for any questions with the proposed PUD and subdivision you may have.
John, I have two for you.
Okay.
Early on in the presentation, you talked about the park being approved with final PUD approval. And the question I have for you, does that mean that the park will be in up front, or are we going to run into a situation, or might we run into a situation again where a lot of the lots are sold and built out before the park is required to go in? Will it be done up front or in a later phase?
Yeah, I'm glad you actually asked that question. This park, we are requiring to be constructed with the first phase. It's one of the conditions. They won't be able to plat or continue on with any additional phases until that's completed.
Good, good, thank you. Second question I have is on the road width. 5, 8, I don't know, time flies, 10 years ago, fire in Montrose. Private roads, I think, or narrower roads, they couldn't get fire trucks down because of cars parked on the streets. Is the fire department, I know you had no comment from them, or they didn't weigh in on it. Are they okay with the 20-foot interior road?
It was the radius, the curve radius on that.
So the streets are wide enough?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill had no.
Okay, my concern is when you get in those narrow roads, and like I said, I watched that fire, and they couldn't get a fire truck down the road, so I was concerned.
I believe they're constructing just a standard city, local residential road.
I was confused on the radii then, so
okay.
Good, thank you very much. Any other questions?
I got a couple. John, on the park, so my understanding in reading this, that's a private park, so it's not going to be used by other residents of Post Falls?
Odds are that other residents will be open to accessing it. It's going to be owned and maintained by the private HOA.
Okay. So there's not going to be any parking? If they wanted to have like a soccer game or something there, nobody's going to really be able to park at that park, right?
They'll be able to park on our local residential streets allow for on-street parking, so there'll be some on-street parking. There is a list that they have some conceived amenities. They have a few amenities that they may or may not provide, but they have to pick a minimum of 3 of this list of amenities for this park. This park isn't intended to be utilized as soccer fields in a major recreational destination like you see like up at the Beck Park.
Yeah. I just know that like out at Woodbridge, they got that nice park that fronts Saltese, and when they have soccer games out there on the weekends, you know, there's no parking really to speak of, so I just didn't know if this was gonna run into that same kind of issue that they have there, or possible?
Bill, did you want to weigh in?
It would take, because I didn't do the volume count of what the on-street parking, but a lot of these will be consumed by residents with their on-street parking. But I don't know if, like, this is just going to be a community neighborhood park for the residents of the subdivision.
Okay.
Bill?
Yeah, just weigh in here real quick. The entrance, it has been widened to allow parking on that main entrance drive as it comes in there. So that section of the roadway will be wider than the rest of those local streets are, just to accommodate parking on that side of the park. So we did provide some accommodation for that. So.
Good. Thanks, Bill.
Biddy, and you had a question?
I was just gonna ask, what's the name of that street that goes in there, Bill? From Route 5?
The name of the street coming in here, this location?
Over there. Between Route 5 and 31.
North
Over
Place
there on the
Avenue.
left? Here.
Right here?
Bellwether?
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 That would be a bit this.
That's here,
That street over there.
Okay.
Yeah, and these are preliminary street names. They haven't gone through the street naming and addressing proofing. We would go through that and look at their list of names, run it through the Kootenai County addressing ordinance, making sure that it hasn't already been taken. So that part of it we still have yet to comb through.
Mr. Mayor, I had one more question.
Oh, go ahead, then we'll come to you, Joe.
John, on the zero side,
Setback.
yeah. Does that mean that both two houses could be abut each other? Or is that taken care of in the building code? Or is all that taken care of in that, with that zero setback?
And I could ask Justin to come up here and speak to it from the building standpoint, but it's plausible if they plat that if they did two adjoining single-family residents, that if they did have a zero lot line and they met building code, that they would be able to market and sell that as two single-family homes. They would just have a common wall. They would just have to meet the firewall rating along that.
So that's all taken care of in the building code?
Just that aspect of it.
You'd have to have two people who got together to figure it out, right?
Well, no, it would be just on the market, just like a single-family home. You'd go up and drive up and go, I didn't know there was a common wall. Or you'd be like, oh, sweet, it was a common wall. I was looking for a house like that. So you
No,
may or
that's
may
what I
not
was-
be interested, but it'd be just no different than any other house on the market.
But if I built a house and I went right up to the property line, I built it just regular standard code, and then Joe decides he buys the house right next door and he wants to go right up, or I couldn't even get down the side of my house to paint it. Could that happen?
At the zero lot line.
By the building code, it could happen. You'd have two firewalls in between the two, so you really couldn't stop it. Typically, it doesn't. They usually offset each other, so you have one that's close to the property line, and then usually the other house is opposite on the other side. Typically, around here is what we have right now.
Well, I don't want to create a problem that doesn't exist, but
Well, and it would also, you couldn't sheet there'd be some snow pitch roofing issues, because if you have two pitches coming down on a lot line, you'd have that gully effect. So there'd be some issues if you did that from a roof. But I guess anything's plausible.
yeah, it's good.
Okay, Al?
Yeah, I'm good.
Joe?
The P and Z vote on this, was it unanimous?
Was it?
It was.
And the other question too is that they've asked for a minimum lot size of 5,000. You say that you've looked at all of these and they're all 6,000. Is this something that, 20% of the way through the process, they change all these drawings, go down to 5,000-foot lots, go to 195 units or 200 units up from 167. Now you're over the 5 units per acre would normally be allowed under R1. Is that something that could happen?
It'd be plausible. We would probably discuss it internally. Was it a minor amendment to the subdivision, or is it a major amendment? If it went, if we started increasing that lot size, I'd probably personally, without having that discussion at that point in time, this is a hypothetical situation, I would concede that more of a major change to the subdivision.
Unless it's already approved as 5,000 square foot minimum.
But the subdivision, though, aspect of it was approved. So they'd be consistent with elements of the PUD, but the subdivision's going through a major change from 167 to 195.
Okay.
That'd be a major change.
You all right?
I'm good.
Okay.
Linda?
I just have one comment, maybe, John. In my way of thinking, when they're talking about zero lot lines like that, perhaps they're talking more like is down at River Run, where there's two townhouses together. It is two lots, but they have it looks like a duplex. So that would be allowed here. Is that correct?
Yeah, twin homes could, yes.
Yeah.
One per lot, correct?
Yeah.
Well, actually, down there, they're each on their own lot, but they look like, it looks like a duplex.
Right.
Okay.
Anybody else? I'd entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion. I would move to approve the North Place preliminary PUD P-15-03 and North Place subdivision S-15-02 to include the findings and conclusions that have been modified to reflect the recommendation made by P&Z, specifically to include 167 lots on 39.51 acres.
Second.
Motion second, further discussion. Shannon, please take the roll.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. John, Justin, Bill, thank you. Captain Knight, thanks for your input earlier. Russ, thanks for your input. Teresa, Jason, Dave, we've left you guys off the hook so far. Just
So
you
far.
know, So far.
So far.
Next item is ordinances and resolution. Tonight we have one ordinance, Beck Road vacation.
Move to place the ordinance Beck Road vacation on its first and only reading by title only while under suspension of the rules.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Borders.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Malloy.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you very much. Mr. Wilson.
An ordinance of the City of Post Falls, a municipal corporation of Idaho, providing for the vacation of rights-of-way in Section 1, Township 50 North, Range 6 West, Boise Meridian, described herein, providing for disposition of the vacated right-of-way as described herein, providing repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing severability, providing an effective date, and providing for other matters properly relating thereto.
Move to approve the ordinance Beck Road vacation and to direct the clerk to assign the appropriate number and that it be published by summary only.
Second.
Motion second. Further discussion? Shannon, please take the roll.
Malloy.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Borders.
Aye.
Wilhelm.
Aye.
Thorson.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Next up, administrative staff reports.
We have none tonight, sir.
Perfect. Mayor's comments. Without saying anything, I will say that there's a press conference scheduled for 2 o'clock here on Friday. Good news for the city of Post Falls. And that's all I'm going to say, because I've been sworn to secrecy.
Suspense.
Yeah, no, I've been
Yes, you are.
I've been threatened, so I can't say anything. Council comments.
What's going on Friday?
We have a press conference, 2 o'clock.
More details, yes.
Seeing none, we do not need an executive session.
Do
correct?
not.
Next motion is?
To adjourn.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
And if everyone would please let Shannon know if you'll be attending Thursday's, next week Thursday chamber event, and if you'll be sitting at the city table.